So then we get to the core of the internship details here. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Michelle Kern-Hall. Michelle is Assistant Director here in the International Internship Program, and she's the one that has been working most closely with students once they have been selected for internships, particularly cultivated internships at this point. So she has a great idea of what types of questions come up for students in the application process and what a clear and good position description entails. So I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to Michelle.
Hi, thank you, Mai. So for the proposed internship details, what we're really looking for here is how we promote the internship to potential students looking at it. So it's really important to make sure it's clear and it meets what you're looking for so that you get applicants who are a good fit for that. So the first question is just interested in the frequency of the internship, whether this is something you're just trying as a single project or it's something you want to work into your plan going forward. And it's fine if you haven't decided yet and want to wait until after the internship to actually do that. So the first thing we're looking for is the start and end date. This is intended to be for summer internships for this initial push, so a start date might be June and an end date might be mid-August. It doesn't have to be the specific date, though it can be, to let students get a sense of how long they're going to be committed to that internship. But that can also be worked out once the student is selected to finalize what their dates will be. So the estimated work hours per week, is this a part-time or full-time position? Is it flexible? Just noting that for them. Number of internship positions available, you may just be looking for one student, but you may want up to 3 or you may want students for different roles, so let us know about that, but as it says there, we'll likely only be able to help with the matching funding for one position. And then we're also interested if you don't get selected for the funding on this round, do you still want to list the internship with us? So we would love to list internships and gain more of those beyond the ones we're able to fund, but if you're relying on the funding to have this go through, you can indicate that here. Next one's location of the internship. So is it here in Wisconsin? Is it somewhere abroad? Is it a mix of those? Is there training in Wisconsin and then they go abroad? You can let us know that here. And if it is in Wisconsin, we're interested in how is this an international internship? So as Maya was talking about earlier, we consider internships in the U.S. where students are using language skills or looking into export strategies or supply chain or working with clients from abroad can all be ways that it might be international, and that's where you can indicate how that's going to look. So the primary internship duties and job description, this looks like a small box, but this is really where you want to put the meat of the information about the internship opportunity. So this is what students are going to be looking at to decide, is this an internship I feel that I can do, that I want to do, that gives me skills or lets me use skills that I'm interested in. So this might be where you talk about the goals that you have, why you're selecting an intern, and then give some specific responsibilities. This doesn't have to be exactly finalized, but the more details and examples you can give, the better it will be for students to kind of picture themselves in the role. So this might talk about market research, this might talk about working with colleagues, translation projects, site visits. It can be all sorts of different things, but the more specific, the better. So the next one are looking at the qualifications. You can put anything here as far as hard or soft skills. Are you looking for certain coursework or experience that they have prior to this internship? Technical or computer skills, communication skills, ability to work with diverse groups. That's the kind of thing we're looking for here. And you can indicate which ones are required. They absolutely need that to do the job versus preferred. Majors we've indicated here as well. As I mentioned before, we don't really think in terms of majors as much as what's the field of work or what are the skills needed. So if there is a really specific major that's important here or a couple that you're thinking of, please indicate them. But we're thinking more about the skills, and we'll actually figure out what the majors to promote the opportunity to on campus are. We have a lot of majors on this campus, so we don't expect employers to know what they all are. You're in school, you can indicate if you're open to any level, all of them. Some internship opportunities are specifically for recruiting and really looking for juniors and seniors who are closer to graduation. But we meet with a lot of freshmen who are really eager to do something after their first year and have a lot of great skills, so if you're open to that, be sure to keep it open. GPA is also not a requirement, but if you do have some sort of expectations or minimum on that, you can indicate it here. Language is another big piece, especially for students here in Wisconsin. You might be looking for a student with specific language skills, and you can indicate what those skills are and whether that's something you prefer in the candidate or is absolutely required to do the job. So below we have it listed as the different skills. You may just need a student who can read and write in a language to help with translation work or transferring information between clients, but you may need someone who can listen and speak. So you can just indicate which ones are most important and what levels you're looking for. If there's more than one language, you can also list that here. But the box below lets you actually clarify what you mean by how they're going to use the language. So often we'll see a language listed as required, but then there's no clarification of how that language is going to be used in the workplace. So you might give examples of you'll be working with colleagues who speak that language, you'll be doing translation work, or you'll just be reading emails. So to give an actual sense of what they need to be able to do with that language. So that's the job description. The next piece of it is how you're actually going to recruit and what we need to get from students. So in general, we always ask for a resume and cover letter for students, but if you have other things you're looking for, such as a writing sample, a language assessment form to get a better sense of their language skills, or a transcript, you can indicate that here. And then on the timeline for recruitment, for summer internships, we list most of those with deadlines in mid-February, but if you need those applications to come in earlier or a little later, we can be flexible, but generally we need to get those decisions by early March. So that's kind of the timeline we're looking for the recruitment process and what you should have in your calendars for thinking about when you're going to be reviewing applications. And we like to give students a heads up in advising and in the listing about the selection process. So if there's going to be an interview, any tests, if that interview will be conducted in another language or via Skype, to let them know that. And if you do need to interview on campus, you can let us know if you'd like us to reserve a space or help with that. The last piece is to indicate the supervisor and emergency contact. So supervisor you may not know until an intern is selected, but if you have identified already who will work with the intern, you can indicate that here. It would need to be confirmed after the student got an offer. Emergency contact is whether the student's here in the U.S. or abroad. If we need to get in contact with them and are not able to, this is the person who we'd have on hand as the emergency person. And then finally, we ask about agreements. So Mai mentioned earlier, sometimes agreements are required between the university as well. Our preference is that it's an offer letter or an agreement directly with the student, but if that is needed, we just need a little more lead time to help figure that out. So I think that is the bulk of the internship job description and what we're looking for students to be able to review the opportunity. You do need to click submit once you've filled out all of this information so that it's recorded for us. But I will hand it back over to Mai.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. So we will return now to the PDF here, the PowerPoint, and pick up just a few more slides before we can answer questions. All right, I hope you can see that now. So just a review of probably the area where the most questions fall, and that is the budget or funding. So just a quick review of that. It is a matching program, and the company, so your company or organization must cover the costs up front. We will then be working with you to get an invoice, and we will pay up to 50% or $4,000 back to you, depending on the documented expenses. So the bulk of those expenses should be for direct intern-related costs, and but the total calculation can include your supervision and administration. The invoices need to have supporting documentation for verification purposes, but that means, for example, an offer letter, that would note the salary or wage to be earned by the student, and if you, for example, paid for airfare or other travel costs for accommodations, there would be copies of those agreements or reservations with the final price for travel, that type of thing. For the in-kind costs, we ask for just a documentation, in-house documentation, clarifying again the calculation of how you reach that. The final payment, therefore, it cannot exceed the original estimate that you put in your application, and that's because we will be distributing funds based on these estimates, and so we will need to make sure that we have the funds available for everybody that we've awarded, and so the payment, even if you budget $1,200 for a flight and it comes back as $1,500, if that doesn't fit within your total budget that you had put down, we won't be able to reimburse you for that expense. However, if the documentation that you submit doesn't support your budget estimates, on the other side of it, we cannot pay. So if your budget estimate is for $1,500 for that airfare and it only comes in at $1,200, that's what we will be able to reimburse you for. So please be aware of that as you devise your budget. The timeline, very quickly, is presented here, but it is also in the information packet that is on the web, so you can always refer to that as well. But the deadline is coming up here in just over a week, and during the month of November we will be reviewing applications and deciding on the awards. So if you are a recipient, you will hear back by December 1st. In December and up until mid-January, we will be working with you to finalize those descriptions, making sure that we understand the type of student you're looking for, that we can help answer any questions that students might have. So we'll be really looking at the details of the opportunity, including looking at visa issues, housing, that type of thing, to make sure that we all are aware of the final design of the opportunity. When students come back to campus in mid-January, we will be promoting all of these opportunities to them, both through the direct marketing approach, meaning working with student lists directly or through advisors and faculty members, but we'll also be presenting the information at the various career fairs which take place in late January and early February. I have to let you know that we are already getting covered by the student newspapers and various places. There is student interest definitely in this program, and so we hope to see applications because we think that the students are now tuned into this grant opportunity and looking for great internships to apply to. By the middle of the deadlines, as Michelle noted, will be in mid-February, and that's to give you 2, maximum 3 weeks to turn around those applications and decide who you'd like to hire. The timing is important because here at Madison, students need to get locked into summer housing or coursework, and so if they are not selected, they definitely need to know. If they are selected, then we need to start working on things like enrolling them in the coursework which they will participate in as part of the internship program, or we need to start working on their visas and logistics such as travel. So by early March, we really hope to have offer letters out to the students. You would submit those offer letters to the students with a copy to us so we know who you select. And then we give the students at least a week to get back to you. Most of them make up their minds pretty quickly. They're looking forward to the opportunities, but there might be some negotiation back and forth. And so by mid-March, we should be able to continue that advising from our office, which includes a pre-departure orientation for the students. And we'd like to host you here in Madison. If you are selected as a company as part of this program, we hope to have you here so that internship supervisors and hosts can meet each other. We can talk about good internship practices, and you can meet the students in person. The internships, as Michelle noted, are designated in this first round really to take place during the summer of 2015. So by the end of August, we'll be back in touch with you to find out, again, was an offer made, what were the final expenses, and then by the end of September we will turn around and get you the funds for the program. So this is a very quick overview of the timeline, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.